thou mentioned compromise. Yes, I find that rather interesting coming from your tongue, Kepler, because despite the planets circling the moons and the sun and its satellites in orbit around the Earth, these aspects can be analyzed in a way in which compromise can be sufficient. I will show you with my system that you were so quick to besmirch, the Tychonic compromise. And what we have here is the best of both worlds. This is the sun, Copernicus, with the planets circling around it. Then the sun with the planets circles around the Earth. Rather ingenious, is it not? A perfect compromise.
Why are there 3 planets around the sun?
Well, we have Mercury, Venus, Mars, and there will be more, but that's all that I can fit on my printing. Yes, there will be. And interestingly as well, this does explain retrograde motions as well, because it is in essence an echo to Ptolemy's epicycles. Yes. So at times the planets will be circling backwards, as is observed by any astronomer if you watch over the course of the time. That during several weeks you will see a planet traversing in the opposite direction. This is now explained through my theory as well. So it is not lacking in evidence that Copernicus is so quick to claim as his own.
Yeah, again, the elegance of this model is not quite paralleled to the Copernican model.
I can see that even though you are a very staunch Lutheran and a religious man, that you do have something in common with the Jesuits, your inability to compromise.
The truth does not equivocate.
And neither does the Inquisition. It is my cosmos that allow the earth to sit still, to the comfort of all. The ecclesiasts, princes, the astronomers, and maybe to the dismay of you and your Italian friends and these misguided individuals. So, again,
but the heliocentric model aesthetically recognizes the obvious, that the sun, the immense and fire giver of light and heat, should be at the center, the way many pilgrims converge about a campfire. Further, it provides a singular reason to impel the planets in their orbits, rather than each planet beholding to its many wanderings.
Well, the Pope in Rome has no problem with the Tychonic compromise. Martin Luther would have no problem with the Tychonic compromise, because with your Copernican double motion, you have double the trouble.
The truth offends the wrong-minded. Proof is what prevails.
Kepler, you see, is a very accomplished man. I will admit to this. In fact, he is very most accomplished at offending people and taking offense by those he thinks consider him very lightly. And I am not one of these people. As I have mentioned, I will hire Kepler and invited him to come work with me in Prague. So, history attests that I am a man willing to collaborate. Now, this aside, Kepler is a man of strong convictions, and this is something that anyone can appreciate, even if these convictions are such that he believes that the planets make music as they fly through the heavens, and that there are some sort of mystical, geometric secret to their universe. But, nonetheless, my system allows for the Earth, its dubious clerics, to remain firmly seated. Yet it embodies the best of both worlds. And it is proactive, it is an advance in science. It does challenge the theories of Aristotle, the immutability of the heavens that was claimed by Aristotle, that things in the heavens will never change. Testament to this was the new star. My observations of the comet in 1577 allowed me to do observations to understand its parallax and its motion, and it was realized that this is traveling beyond the orbits of the planets. So if the planets were held, as Ptolemy said, in crystalline spheres since the time of the ancients, a comet would smash these to cinders. So this could not possibly be the case. So I know that this theory, even though it is a compromise, does have aspects that I would consider fully modern. And again, it is not offending. I do not have neither Catholic nor Lutherans chasing me with pitchforks. You have been chased from time to time.
But I ask you, what about Mars? The orbit of Mars certainly didn't fit. It didn't work in your system, but if it weren't for my uncompromising system and determination, this troublesome orbit would never have been rectified. It would still be confounding astronomers, as it has you.
Credit is due. That Kepler's work did resolve the troublesome orbit of Mars, one that had vexed me for many years. Despite the accuracy of my instruments, Mars would just not be where it's supposed to be, varying by as many as several degrees. And this is of arc, and this is completely unacceptable if I am trying to measure into fractions of degrees. So this was not this was unsettling to me, and this is part of the reason that I have tried to invite Kepler to join me.
Indeed, yes. And with your data on Mars, I did solve the problem. It was not at all easy. I had promised you in 7 days I would have solved the problem. It had taken much longer for me to do so. But my discovery of the elliptical planetary orbits led to the exquisite law of harmonies, the crown jewel of the new astronomy, and the new Copernican cosmos.
As you can see, we are at loggerheads. There is no chance that passage of time, apparently, it seems to have been hundreds of years, seems to have done little to quell our prejudices. So, perhaps, with the help of this erudite collection of scholars, astronomers, and stargazers, we will see if we can have them as arbiters to make this decision once and for all, because we certainly cannot come to a conclusion. So, what then is the true countenance of the heavens? What things have come to pass in your time that have led us to believe that Copernicus is indeed correct? We have the example of Signor Galileo. Have there anything else that has proven that we are in a heliocentric universe? Yes, sir.
Parallax was finally observed for the stars, but it's much smaller than you expected because the stars are so much further away than anybody in your days imagined.
Interesting. And about what time was this the parallax discovered? Anytime soon after my memory ceases to be?
1850.
Fantastic. Well, it did take some time. It's just not to know that someone filled my shoes too quickly. So another example, yes, other than stellar parallax. Yes, sir. Yes.
Comets have been seen to go around the sun.
Indeed, that is very
conclusively shattering the crystal sphere.
And one would remember, in the time when I observed the comet in 1577, there was still the superstitious, particularly in Germany, where there are such things, but demons in the woods and the like, thought that there was a great doom to be coming. And at the time, I must admit that in my early days, it was use of astrology, and these things were the arrival of a comet was seen as some dour circumstance, and now we realize that now then perhaps comets are just visitations from heavenly bodies. So this is enlightening to know. I'm sure that in this time, and we can bring this up now because
my horoscopes. Perhaps this is my German heritage, but they are very, very accurate. My horoscopes today, the horoscopes must be incredibly accurate. Yes.
Doom and gloom.
Many comets.
There's some sort of comet coming to predict doom and gloom on this year that we exist today.
Next week.
Well, but is it safe to presume then, I guess, that astrology is of somewhat dubious character? I find this interesting. It was a very good way to make money.
Indeed,
nowadays, yes.
indeed.
So, might I ask, for those of you who are familiar with the event of the new star in Cassiopeia, have we discovered what this new star was?
Supernova.
Indeed. Fascinating. Though the word nova, super, I presume it's better than a nova. What indeed was the nature of this? Was it a star indeed?
It was a very large star that came to the end of its life and exploded.
Fascinating. And the brightness was visible during the day for a month.
Yes.
So are these regular occurrences?
Yeah. Once every 100 years or so.
Well, that's sufficient.
Yes.
I'm very excited to know that I was the first one to catalogue one of these. So, perhaps...
Chinese astronomers who saw other supernova earlier.
I am not. I've gone far in my travels, but not so far as the Orient. So, last I remember that they're not particularly fond of Westerners. So, we will leave that to be discovered later.
And vice versa.
I am very curious. Has anyone discovered the music of the spheres in this day? Yes? Perhaps? No?
As I did not think would be the case. sorry, Kepler, but
perhaps then
Sound
I
can
have-
travel through a vacuum. Space is
Right.
empty between the planets.
Well, there we are. Well, I always thought it was rather curious. Anyway, might I explain your theory, Kepler?
Okay.
That the planets, because of their ratios of their orbits, the period to the distance reminded Kepler
Yes, so the
Oh.
musical scales.
of musical scales and tempos. So perhaps as the planets move through the heavens, they make a music of their own. So that perhaps Jupiter would go like, ah, la, 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 la. And that here on Earth, our planet also has its music. But since we live here, we are used to it and take it for granted. Much the same as one lives across the street from a blacksmith. One is not bothered by the sound of hammering all the time. So we would actually have